Hello guys, welcome back to another video here on Bitcoin. I thought let's start with a 4-hour chart here. We have some very nice action here as I've been talking in my Discord, on the Telegram, on Instagram, here on YouTube as well. We've been having this pitchfork here. So this is a shift pitchfork we have from the recent lows we made back here in September to the highs and to the recent lows. I was seeing a lot of people talking about when we're down here, Bitcoin is gonna roll over, we're gonna continue down. I said once price has reclaimed the 0.5 line here, the chances to go to this median line is very high. So we can see here we just reached this median line here, so it looks very good so far on Bitcoin. So this is the first target. Personally here, as I shared a little while ago for the VIP members in the Discord, I did open a small short here, so I rode this up the wave, and right now I flipped a short here just as a hedge to see if we can play this pullback. I like to have shorts as hedges because, as you can see, the past basically 6 months almost, we have just been choppy here sideways. So even though I'm feeling euphoric here and I still have higher targets, I'm not declined to play the moves here to the up and downside. But I'm still long a lot of altcoins, so I'm in no means getting bearish here. I do think we're gonna have some kind of pullback here before we continue higher. We can also see here, if we zoom in here on the 2-hour, since as we mentioned in yesterday's video that we have some kind of supply zone here which respected perfectly. So we can see price came up here into the supply zone. What a nice pullback here. I told people price will go to this midline. There's no way price is gonna trend down here. We can also see if we pull from the lows here to the highs, we can see where did Bitcoin bottom from the 0.31. So I really hope, guys, you're staying on the right side of the market. Remember, trading is very difficult and you need to have discipline, you need to have a good strategy to make money. But right now this market has been very kind to us, and I do think right now it's just so easy to make money in this market. Every fib almost is, you can just buy almost any 0.31 fib and just long any pitchfork to the upside and then short it. You can see we're getting a nice pullback here. So let's come here on the daily chart. The daily chart is even more interesting. If we check here on Bitcoin on the bigger pitchfork, we're now starting to approach it, something I've been talking for a long time. Right now I see a few bears are disappearing. I used to have a lot of bears here in my comment section. They are starting to disappear. So once we can break this median line that we have here that we're now testing, the next one is up here at 69,000. So right now we have to see how big the pullback is going to be. So I'm now looking at the 4-hour. Personally, I'm looking to keep this hedge, move stop loss to break even, and then try to ride it down as far as possible. Ideally, I would like to ride the short down here to around 62,700. What I'm looking at is from the lows here to the highs. So any pullback we can get once again to the 0.31. So actually 62,900 perhaps could be an ideal target. Then we also have the modify shift. So if we click this one and go to the modify shift, the next target for shorter term target would be here at around 65,500. So we could very well continue here to the upside. Pay attention, guys, the market is highly bullish right now. And in a second, I'll also cover the Ethereum chart and then some altcoins. So I will show you what I'm looking at and why I'm so bullish overall. So we just have to remember this shift one here is temporary resistance. Then we have the modify shift, which I do think we're most likely going to reach as well. Probably have some kind of pullback here, and then Bitcoin is going to trend to the upside. So look, as I said, any pullback to the 0.31 here is something you want to long. The trick is you want to find correlation. So if you see this pattern playing out on Ethereum hitting the 0.31 at the same time as Ethereum hitting Bitcoin and Ethereum hits their 0.31, there's almost always a guaranteed bounce. This, I see very few traders are talking about this, but if you see this pattern playing out on Ethereum as on Bitcoin, you almost can every time make guaranteed money. Of course, if you go on the 1 minute time frame, it's not going to work as well as on the 4-hour, but that's what I'm looking at right now. We can also see here, we check on the left side, we broke this, we took out the liquidity. So right now I don't really see any resistance here. The next resistance I see here, or basically like supply zone, is at around this modify shift pitchfork that we have up here. Let me add this zone here again, which is sitting at about 65,000. So that's what I'm looking at right now. 65,600, 65,700 is the next target. But keep in mind right now I am short, since we need to start breaking the shift pitchfork here. If we come here back on Ethereum, I have the exact same pitchfork on Ethereum, but you can see Ethereum hasn't yet reached. So we have the shift one here, just as on Bitcoin. We can see Bitcoin has come up to its median line here. Ethereum hasn't come up yet. So that makes me believe that we might see a pullback here on Bitcoin. Ethereum might chop around here, but overall, I do expect Ethereum also to go to 2,500 next. We can also see if we come on the 2-hour, exactly the same as on Bitcoin. We pull from the lows to the highs. Where did Ethereum bottom? At the 0.31 here. So here I opened a nice little leverage long on Ethereum myself. So as I said, this is basically, nobody will tell you this, but you need to look for correlation to get the most high probability trades. Remember this 0.31 hit here, same as on Bitcoin, and you can just long here with high leverage if you're into that basically, and then just ride it up. So you will almost always get a bounce. Overall, we'll come back here on the daily as we covered earlier. This is our target here, the next target. Once we reach 70k, we're gonna look at the origin, if we come here on the normal scale. So once we reach here 70k, then we can flip to the original, which is sitting at around 74k. But for now, we want to use the modify shift here. So far, so good. Similarly, if you come here on the shift pitchfork, so we had this previously, we had a nice impulse, correction, impulse, came to the midline, came down again. Then we just switch to the modify shift. Once again, we see the exact same pattern, impulse, correction to the 0.5 line here, just as we had previously. And right now, I do think we're gonna continue the impulse to around 70k. So remember, guys, you want to be long this market. Something else I also covered in yesterday's video, I want to jump quickly into, was the Bitcoin dominance. So the Bitcoin dominance, we can see altcoins going crazy here. The Bitcoin dominance is still under this massive median line here, and it has barely moved. The Bitcoin dominance is actually in green. So we're gonna see the real alts fly when the Bitcoin dominance rolls over, if I'm correct with my prediction, which I do think we're due for some pullback. We can see here, once we hit this median line here on the weekly, we did get a pullback. We can see alts rallied, and right now we're seeing this happening, and we see alts rally already. So imagine if Bitcoin dominance would do something like this, altcoins are gonna fly, and most likely gonna go to record highs. As I covered in yesterday's video, this was with just one example. There's many altcoins that look like this. We had a massive 1, 2, 3, 4. We see the fourth wave came down to the 0.31, and right now wave is continuing the fifth wave to the upside. So we can come here on the daily. So that's something we covered in yesterday's video, and we can see most altcoins are continuing. I do believe final push here to the upside, some kind of fifth wave altcoins are in the making. Then we're gonna have a bigger correction before we continue to the upside again. So altcoins looking really, really good here. If we come here on the total three, so this is a total altcoin market cap. I don't have too much to say about this. This has been one of my targets here at around 1.5, 1.6 trillion. It does seem far off to me for altcoins to do something like this. That's gonna make us all insanely rich if that happens, if you're holding altcoins, which I feel like it's too good to be true. But right, that's why I rather keep focusing here on the Bitcoin dominance for now. We can see the total three, if you come on the normal scale, already has hit the median line here. So a lot of juice has left the altcoins, and that's where the altcoins basically enter the bear market once we hit this pitchfork here. But if we go on the log scale, there is potential still for upside here, but we have to see, we have to take it one day at a time. We're right now inside some kind of a descending triangle, descending wedge here, trying to break resistance. Depending how you draw it, is actually already broken here on the weekly. So I do expect altcoins to more or less continue to the upside if we're gonna reach this midline. As I said, time has to tell. I'm not that sure if I think we're gonna be too optimistic, but believe me, guys, I would hope this happens. I really hope. Back here in April, I was more optimistic since we're closer, but the longer it takes, we can see the target's gonna come extremely difficult for us to reach. Overall, the Bitcoin dominance, we need to keep an eye. If the Bitcoin dominance gets a weekly close above 58.5%, then this pitchfork will be invalidated. So now we have holding resistance here, and altcoins are doing extremely well. And so is Bitcoin. But as we can see as well before I wrap up the video, for those who are trading this market, be careful here, because we just had quite an impulsive move to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of fake out here to the downside here before we continue up again. Maybe form some kind of inverse head and shoulders. This is a very common pattern. Not that I'm a big fan of head and shoulders, but this is a common pattern. We could see something like this before we come up here to 65,000, which also aligns with the modify shift. So from the lows here to the highs and to the recent lows, and then you want to use the modify shift. So currently we're at the shift one, then the modify shift. I understand these pitchforks might be a bit confusing to you guys, but if you want to learn how to trade them, I have private videos in my Discord. So it's complete for free. Just join the Discord and you can message me there, and I will send you a link to both tutorial how to trade the pitchforks and the Fibonacci, because they're a bit complicated, but overall, once you get the hang of it, it's the median lines you want to focus on. So basically, so far we've nailed the market. Thank you everybody for all the support, guys. Please visit the Discord here. We have a lot of skilled traders here that actually have learned quite a lot with these pitchforks, so you can ask others there as well. I'm not the only one using these pitchforks. We have some really good traders as well in the Discord, so make sure to join the Discord. Click the link down below, and otherwise I'll see you again guys tomorrow.